Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It is the 11th day of May 2022. Here we are halfway through the week. I hope you're safe, your family, and you're safe and healthy today. And that the needs of you and your fam, in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health, are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and those who are the first responders trying every day to save lives. And those who pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks clean. And those that make deliveries for our convenience, and double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the victims of the nasty act of child molestation and pedophilia. And the nasty acts, the victims of the nasty acts of child pornography and prostitution and child prostitution and human trafficking and sex slavery, and double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts who are out here trafficking in this human misery upon innocence. Finally, blessings upon the homeless, nearly 600,000 men, women, and children crapped out of this Babylonian system and are on the streets in the United States of America with no roof over their head, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Brethren, listen, Knicks Nation, listen here. It's crazy season. You know, there is every year in NBA, at the end of a regular season, and generally after the playoffs, it's crazy season. Now, because the Knicks are not in the playoffs, crazy season starts early in New York. Well, what is crazy season? That's when the most ridiculous trade ideas and articles come forth, because people don't have nothing to say, so they come out with some ridiculous, stupid, even stuff that sometimes would cause NBA 2K to blush ideas. And so for the Knicks, oftentimes this revolves around the point guard situation, because as we are very well aware, the Knicks have been having issues with long-term point guards, getting a point guard for the long term. You would think, in the league where there's abundance of point guards, that the Knicks would not have this issue, but they have had the issue. And it's not always the player. Sometimes it's the coach. Sometimes it's the management, or any combination. For example, I love Obi Toppin. I want Obi Toppin to retire a New York Knick. I want him to be the starting power forward in the fall of this season. And I want them to trade Julius Randle. But when they drafted Obi that year, you had Tyrese Halliburton. You had a bunch of other guys. Halliburton comes first to my mind because he was on my board, for the Knicks to get as a point guard. But you had other point guards in that draft available at 8. Halliburton being the most one to me that was the most NBA ready, and the guy that I thought could have been our cornerstone. But there were several point guards available in that draft, and they chose Obi. Now, again, love Obi and understand he's a New York kid, so on and so forth. But that's an example of the management making a choice to pass on a point guard. Okay. Then you had the Frank Ntilikina. And I know just saying his name caused some of y'all to just get into all kind of conniptions. Frank Ntilikina. Get over it. But anyway, in that draft, Phil Jackson chose Frank Ntilikina specifically for the triangle offense. And a week later, he was out of a job. Still getting his $60 million, but he wasn't, president of basketball operations for the Knicks. When you passed on a Donovan Mitchell, who there were people in the front office at the time that wanted Donovan Mitchell. Okay? These are examples of management making decisions that cost the Knicks a point guard that could have really helped the Knicks. Then you have coaches. Like, for example, Jeff Hornacek, with his reliance on a 37-year-old point guard, with our man Fizdale, with his reliance on Emmanuel Mudiay. We're going to get you right, kid. So in those situations, you had coaches. And you're wondering, what are you thinking about? And that's why it was so the point that CP franchise called our man Mudiay the tank commander. Because you must be wanting to lose, right? You keep playing this guy that really isn't suited to be a starting NBA point guard on a playoff team. Okay, that was Fizdale doing that. And then Hornacek on the 37-year-old, I forgot the guy's name. Some of y'all going to tell me, but the 37-year-old point guard that he was relying on all year. Been better to play Frank Ntilikina, even if he stink, even if you don't like him. At least you could see what you have. But see, again, that was coaching decisions that caused us to not have a full-time, regular NBA level point guard. Then we had Tom Thibodeau, who, okay, he relied on Elfrid Payton. I mean, he relied on Elfrid Payton until it was painfully obvious Elfrid Payton isn't your guy in terms of getting you in a deep playoff run. But at least with Elfrid Payton, he brought an aspect to the game in Madison Square Garden that at least me as a long-term Knicks fan wanted to see, and that is defense. He brought defense. Now, offensively, obviously, he was challenged. And playing in Madison Square Garden, you're under the biggest microscope in probably all of pro basketball in the world in Madison Square Garden. And so his flaws in terms of his offensive limitations were exposed, in Madison Square Garden. And then he was replaced by after his prime, Derrick Rose, who is obviously in Hall of Fame level point guard, but after his prime. And at the time, many of us were saying, while Derrick Rose still got, he's still pretty much unguardable, but he can't do it for the stretches he did as a Chicago Bull because he's past his prime. And then it has proven out because he missed more than half of this past season with injuries. And let me tell you, if some of y'all still pining, lighting candles for Derrick Rose to be the starting point guard, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get hurt. He's past his prime. You need to limit guys like that who have had serious injuries in the past and multiple surgeries. You need to limit them in their minutes because if you don't, you're going to get what you got. Injuries. So Derrick Rose at this stage is a good second unit point guard. Very good. Or a closer in fourth quarter. That's what you want. But you don't want to play him 30 minutes a game. Okay? So he's not really our starter. Then, this past season, we got a point guard that was trying to play on one leg. Kemba Walker. That was Leon. And Tom was putting him out there as a lesson to Leon. Let me show you this guy. I didn't want this guy. Let me tell you why. Let me show you. He's trying to play on one leg. And, of course, Kemba is a horrible defensive player. Not necessarily his fault. At least he tries. I mean, he does, but he's just too little. Just too little and on one leg. Okay. He's not Patrick Beverly. Okay. Patrick Beverly on defense. That's a kid right there. Defensive player. Matter of fact, I was looking at some Carmelo stats. Carmelo is a 538 projection that projects all NBA players. And they're not 100% accurate now. Don't get me wrong. But they're pretty, I give them a good 80% right. They mess up on some, no question. But usually they're really good. They go by the stats of the player. So here in like Pat Beverly's case, his overall rating, that means, what do I mean? That means you add the offensive output with the defensive output and you get a plus minus. That's a total plus minus. So for this past season, 2022 ending season, he was overall 1.5. That means when he's on the floor, his team is 1.5 points better than when he's off the floor. Okay. Now he has offensive limitations. Offensively, offensively, he actually combined at 0. So the team is even offensively, but defensively, he's 1.5. So he brings the defense. Okay. So he's positive 1.5. That's what you're talking about. Now combine. Now you look at, say, one of the players that some of us, not some of us, but some people in Knicks Nation are pining for. Let's look at D'Angelo Russell. Now, D'Angelo Russell, the good thing about D-Lo is, to me, he got some good things about him. I mean, he's 25, young kid. Okay. He's expiring. 31 million this year is an expiring deal. Good. Also, though, he is, to me, big game D-Lo. Like when a guy like him in Madison Square Garden will cause the fans to go crazy. I mean, really. I mean, D-Lo, he got the brass ones to pull off the big shot when you need it. But what people are not paying attention to is that D-Lo is -2 on the defensive end. I mean, D-Lo is pretty bad defensively. In fact, he is Kemba Walker level bad defensively. So, and see, he is expiring, but again, if you're watching this guy play on the defensive end, you're going to get some games where he drops 40, like Evan Fournier did. You're going to get some games where he's going to pull out games for you in the fourth quarter, and you're going to love that. But you're going to get a lot of games where he's non-existent defensively, and he allows the opposing guards to get into the lane at will. And he's going to cause a guy like Mitchell Robinson, hopefully we keep him, to be in foul trouble. Okay, that's the problem. See, and that's why this past playoff season, the Minnesota coach took him out at key points of the game because of his defensive liabilities. You see, he was playing with Anthony Edwards, who just turned 20. And Anthony Edwards at this stage in his career is also a defensive liability, but he's younger, see, and he's more athletic, and he's more of a threat because of his athleticism offensively in his youth. You couldn't have two of those guys out there that were weak defensively. So he had Pat Bev out there, and then he combined Pat Bev with another cat. What was the other? McLaughlin? I never even heard of him. But he combined Pat Bev out there with him or Malik Beasley because they wanted some defense out there, right? You're going to have the problem like that in Madison Square Garden. And I want you to understand, I'm not trying to hate on D-Lo. I like D-Lo, but I don't like him for the Knicks for that reason. Defense. And the thing is, in Madison Square Garden, you have got to bring some defense. Okay? You have got to bring. Like, remember Mike D'Antoni? Mike D'Antoni is an offensive genius. I mean, he really is. Guy came out with 7 seconds or less offense. Wide open, run the floor. He always needs a good point guard, and when he gets one, his teams are exciting to watch. But he was chased out in New York. And I remember at the time, he was chased out in New York because people kept complaining, even players, that his teams didn't play defense. Okay? And it's not that Mike D'Antoni was a bad coach, but in Madison Square Garden, with the history, with the banners, with Clyde Frazier in them, with Patrick Ewing in them, we need defense. I know I do. So speaking of D-Lo, people get more focused on his offensive prowess. But you really need to see some defense unless you pair him with a strong defender. Okay? Like if you paired him with Deuce, maybe that'll work. But if you pair him with IQ, now IQ's not a terrible defender, but he's not Patrick Beverley, and he's not good enough on that end to make up for the weakness of a D-Lo, and they would get cooked. They would get cooked defensively on a regular basis. That's the problem. While I know people are tempted, and some of y'all drooling for D-Lo because of that, he is a problem defensively. Not only that, if you get a D'Angelo Russell, you must give him the keys. And why do I say that? Between his style of play, between his gutsy, offensive, I got ice in my veins type of play, and his pride, which you want to see a player have, pride in their game and guts and heart. We appreciate heart in New York, players that play with heart. Well, that's why we don't like Julius Randle, because oftentimes he showed no heart this year, honestly. But a guy like DLO, they love, because he got heart now. But the problem is that that's what caused him to have issues with his coach this past season. His coach saw the problems defensively coming into the playoffs, and he started removing DLO at key points because he needed stops. Again, it's exciting to watch offensive play. Like I said, D'Antoni's teams are always exciting to watch, but they never go all the way, because at key moments in the playoffs, what separates champions from people that just made the playoffs is getting stops when you need a stop. And y'all have been, some of y'all understand what I mean. The game is tight. It's a minute left. The opposing team has the basketball, and you need a stop. And oftentimes the opposing team has a player, it might be a CP3 or a Devin Booker if it's on the Phoenix Suns, right? It might be a Bam Adebayo or Tyler Hero if it's the Miami, or Jimmy Butler. And they've been going to this certain player most of the night, and they're going to go to this player right now. And you must be able to have a scheme and the ability to stop them. That's what separates champions. Okay? And at those type of critical moments, the Minnesota Timberwolves coach took DLO out and put this no-name dude in there. That's how bad DLO was defensive. Okay? Now, if he's going to be a stopgap until you get another year development of Quickly and Deuce and Roku, maybe. And then he's going to command a max deal at the end. He gets to come off a max deal. He's going to want another max deal when he comes off of this expiring contract. Now it's actually almost fits too perfectly to send Randle and say, not Fournier, because that's too much money, but Randle, as far as the money, you send Randle, and you might be able to send a Burks over there, or you might be able to send a Nerlens Noel with Randle, and now you got the money matching, and you can bring back DLO, and you get rid of salary, and now you got an expiring deal. That does work very well. But as far as player, I'm seeing Knick Nation whine and complain by February because of his lack of defense. He's much better than Kemba, though, as a player right now, because he got 2 legs. Kemba don't, right? But that's the DLO situation. So I'm not hating on DLO, but given the situation, I'd rather play Emmanuel Quickly as the starting point guard. And that's not even, y'all know I want Deuce to start, but I'm saying realistically, I know Tibbs would favor IQ. And so I want IQ out there with Deuce getting some backup minutes at the point rather than go get a DLO. But see, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy season. So you're going to get people insisting that we must get D'Angelo Russell. Here's the phrase I see people use a lot. We need to go get this X player. In this case, it's D'Angelo Russell. I'll see people do that. We need to go get, like we're going to die if we don't go get this guy. No. But I can at least half understand why somebody might. Because like I said, I like D-Lo's. I like his whole attitude. I just like dudes that got heart and ball and is confident in their game. I like that. And he's 25. So he brings youth. He fits the timeline and all that. But I'm going to tell you, you might get an upset RJ. You might have RJ mad at some points. So, I don't know. We have to, that's a possibility. And I mentioned in a video previous, I think it was the last video. Come on, let's not even talk about Tyus Jones. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, just stop it. Tyus Jones is a backup. Please, just go pay Deuce. Just play Deuce in IQ and quit playing. Okay, come on. Don't even do that. Okay, Tyus Jones is a really good backup on a playoff team. Okay, he really is. But when you are trying to develop a starting point guard for the long haul, and you drafted three of them. You drafted Emmanuel Quickley, Deuce McBride, and Roku Jokovic. You drafted these three guys. Find out what they got now. Don't mess around. Okay, find out what you got. You drafted them. You see, when the Knicks draft a player these days, it's not like when they drafted what was that guy that that Carter jumped over. You remember in the Olympics? I think it was 2000 I think it was 2000. And Carter just leaped completely over this 7-foot dude and flushed it on it. That dude was the Knicks' #1 draft pick. I know it's hard to believe. I forgot his name, but he was the Knicks. Fred Weiss, I think his name was Weiss. That was the Knicks' #1 draft pick. And they hardly scouted him. I don't even know how much film they looked of him and picked him #1. Now, today's Knicks brass and management drafting much better. Even under Phil Jackson was much better than that, right? But so they do, when they scout a guy, they scout him. They look at his background. They look where he comes from. They look at talk to his coaches. They talk to his trainers. They talk to people around him. They talk to his fam. They really, and then of course they are intent studying the film, studying him in live. So they do a lot of work. There's a lot of work that goes into drafting an NBA player for the Knicks right now. So when I say they drafted him, y'all need to understand what that means. They put a lot of work into drafting. When they drafted Jokovic, they went over there, they did all the things I just said. They didn't just go by a couple of films. They went to go see him. Okay, talk to him. Talk to his fam. Talk to his coaches. Talk to his trainers. So they knew what they were getting when they drafted him. Some of y'all say, okay, well, Deuce, we need a bigger point guard. What y'all don't understand is they knew how tall he was 6 months before they decided to draft him. They saw him. They talked to him. They brought him in for workouts. They talked to his coach in high school in Cincinnati. They talked to his football coach. They talked to Huggins. They didn't just make this decision at the last minute and say, oh, man, wait a minute, he's too short. He's 6'1.5". No, they already knew what they were getting. And Tom Thibodeau pushed for him. Okay, understand that when you think when they're drafting somebody. They don't just make a flippant decision to draft somebody. Then Emmanuel Quickley, Tom looked at Emmanuel Quickley when the year before they drafted him. He noticed Emmanuel Quickley. And Worldwide West and him wanted Emmanuel Quickley. They had their different reasons, but West was pushing hard for Quickley. Because I don't know if they would have drafted Quickley if it wasn't for Worldwide West pushing so hard with Tom. Because at the time, we could have got Maxey. We could have got Desmond Bane. And I favored Bane at the time. I didn't think we'd be in a position to draft Maxey. Though I liked Maxey better than Emmanuel Quickley. And I liked Bane better than Emmanuel Quickley. But the Knicks thoroughly scouted Quick. They knew what they were getting and they wanted him. Okay, he wasn't no flippant decision. So you went out and you got Emmanuel Quickley. You get Roku Jokovic. And you get Deuce McBride. You spent all of those assets and time and money looking at these guys. You must find out what they can do on the pro level. Now, in the area of Quickley, you kind of already know. I mean, his first year, he came off the bench and he played well. And this year, he came off the bench again and played okay. Wasn't good for the first half of the season. He was very inefficient. But when you gave him the basketball in the last week or so of the season and you asked him to run the point, dude performed. He did. So you got to give him, after all of that pushing to get it, you got to see what you got. And Deuce, I wanted to see Deuce, and Tom admitted he should have put Deuce more minutes earlier in the season. He admitted that. But I do like the fact that they didn't give him the Kevin Knox treatment and just have him languishing on the bench, that they had him and Jericho in the G League most of the year getting reps. And of course, Deuce, some of y'all say it was the G League. How many guys in the G League average 29 and 11? Like how many? How many guys in the G League, think about that, average 20 and 11? Some of y'all pining, and I like Dyson Daniels. He didn't average 29 and 11 in the G League. Deuce did. You want to say G League? And some of y'all want, there's people that got Dyson Daniels in the top 10 of their mock drafts. So what are you about saying only G League then? Deuce went down there and busted people in their cheeks, man. Period. Period. Okay, so you got to see what you have. So again, I can understand the monetary aspect of a DLO move because, like I said, he's expiring. Okay, he's expiring, and you can get rid of a Randle. You can move a Randle. You might even be able to get some draft picks for Randle with DLO because of the fact that he did have issues with coach, arguing with the coach about his playing time at the end. He wasn't appreciative of that. Okay, and Randle is much more. One thing about Julius Randle that I don't think anybody can logically argue: he's durable. He had that injury in his rookie year, but after that, dude's been indestructible. I mean, he really had. Okay, built like a brick doo-doo house, man. Dude is strong, right? So you could, you're going to get now. There's other issues, as we know in Knicks Nation, but as far as durability, you don't have that with Randle. So, you're going to at least get him to be able to play. And then in Minnesota, he would be the third option behind Cat, obviously, and Ant. Edwards is your second option. Him and Cat are 1-2 right there. Then comes Julius Randle, which to me will get you the best Julius Randle. That will get you the best Julius Randle. Now, Cat, for example, he talk about a guy that's, you want to look at a guy that's like a standard, right? Karl Anthony Towns. Now, in Carmelo on 538, his total for last year, +4. See, that's what you want. +4. Before that, +3.4. Before that, +6.7. Before that, +3.5. That's what, and why? Because you're getting 3.2, 3.1 offensively and +0.8 defensively. So he's not the greatest defender, but he ain't giving up anything either. Okay, that's what you want. That's what you want from and again, that's an all-star player, right? That's what you want. So he's your number one option. Then you got Anthony Edwards, and you put Julius Randle as your third option there. I think you're doing pretty good if you Minnesota. Okay, so I could see that financially working out. But I'm just trying to warn y'all, be careful. Don't get too hyped because you're not going to be happy on the defensive end. If you weren't happy defensively with Kemba, you're not going to be happy with D'Angelo Russell. And then he's going to give you way more attitude than Kemba because of his pride. Like I said, he got heart. I like it. But he's going to give you way more attitude than Kemba. I really would rather them just play Emmanuel quickly and Deuce. And bring Joko Bidas over here, guaranteeing him a spot in that 3-point guard rotation. So at least he knows he's getting some time. He's not just languishing on the bench. Okay, because I believe Joko's going to come over here for the summer league. You're going to see him and Deuce and probably Grimes and Jericho Sims in the summer league this year, which is going to be really nice to watch. But I think you should just go with that. Now, as far as somebody say, well, how are we going to trade Randle? There's other options. There's a lot of expiring deals in the NBA. There's a lot of expiring deals where you can get, for Julius Randle. There's a ton of expiring deals. If you just go on Spotrac, you'll see there's a lot of expiring deals. Guys that are expiring, let's say at the end of 2023, you can let's see, LeBron, of course. Well, forget that. But you got LeBron, James Harden, Wall, Westbrook, no. Middleton, no. Beal, probably won't happen. Kyrie Irving, Kristaps Porzingis, no. But you got these guys, Kevin Love, D'Lo, of course, I mentioned him, Vucevic, Draymond Green, Fred VanVleet, Harrison Barnes, here's one that I think might be a good fit off our bench. If you're going to move Randle, Danilo Gallinari, he's expiring also. Okay. Jeremy Grant, Miles Turner, Bogdanovich, both Bogdanoviches, Eric Bledsoe, who I'm not really high on, but if we're just trying to get the money, Karis LeVert, he probably won't come here. But then you got a lot of guys that are expiring that you can send off for Julius Randle. Okay, you could do that. Okay, that's no problem. And, Evan Fournier. Because to me, both of those got to be moved along with Alec Burks. You got to remove these dudes so that you could get time for these kids. I'm expecting Leon to pull something off like that. It could be 3 different trades. It don't all have to be like to Lakers for Westbrook. I'm talking about he's got to do some work. We know Leon does work in the draft. He does. He has proven his work to me in the draft. Some of y'all still don't understand what he did last year. It was brilliant, man. I was watching a maestro at work where he did the draft when he got Grimes, Joku, Deuce, and Jericho Sims. I'm in awe of that, And then he did a similar move when he picked up IQ. And in both cases, he added draft capital while getting the player that he wanted. So, yeah, I like the moves Leon does in the draft. And I'm very confident that he's going to do similar things in this draft, okay? But he's got to prove his worth in getting rid of the mistakes he made in terms of the Evan Fourniers, the Kemba Walkers, and the Alec Burks now playing the point guard spot because Tom just, you got to help Tom out, Leon, and I think you know that. So let's do what we got to do. So that's the move we got to make. Now, like I said, so it's not necessary. Minnesota seems like a really nice fit for Julius Randle. The money does work. So there's positive negatives. As you could tell, I'm kind of torn with the situation. But I really would rather them just play our kids. When I say our kids, I'm talking mainly Emmanuel Quickly, Deuce McBride, and Roku Jokubitis. I said it wrong. Roku Jokubitis. I want to play those guys. This is the thing, brother. And this is, to me, the strongest point. Not only do these guys, play ball, all 3 of them, right? But, look, the Knicks are not a conference finals team in the coming season. We're in year 3 of the rebuild. We took a step back because of the shenanigans that were happening this past season. But we could take a step forward. And this is where we want to see what we have in all of the kids we drafted. Obi, starting power forward. To me, Deuce should be the starting point guard. But okay, I'm going to go with Emmanuel Quickly because I know Tom likes him and give me Deuce behind him. And then you're going to Grimes. He should be starting at the 2. And then you got RJ. And please re-sign Mitchell Robinson and put him at the 5. So you got that. You got Jericho Sims backing up Mitchell Robinson. Hopefully you draft a nice 4. A Tari Eason. Sohan, to back up Obi. Okay. Then, you got your Derrick Roses, you got your Cam Reddish. Let's not forget Cam. Or, some reason I'm kind of concerned about Cam. I really love Cam Reddish, but I don't think Tom Thibodeau does. Even though he did play Cam a lot before Cam got hurt, he was really one of the first players off the bench, sometimes the first guy off the bench. Before he got hurt. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with Cam. I'm not sure. They got to make a decision on Cam because he's going to be in a contract year, which means to me he's going to ball this year. Contract year now. That's term for I'm going to ball so I can get paid long term, right? And he's young. So Cam going to ball. But so I'm not sure what they're going to do with Cam. But you got all these young players. You got to find out what you have. Okay? So that's the biggest reason why I am advocating play what we have. This is the year to do it. And then when you find out what you have using this NBA season, this 82 game season, find out what you have, then make hard decisions next spring. Okay? Who you going to keep, who you not going to keep. But you got to play them in order to find out. Okay? That's why I'm saying forget chasing, all these guys, DLO or Tyus Jones. And Mike Conley, Mike Conley? Okay, look. Conley, maybe you didn't know, but Conley got 2 more seasons at 22, 23 million left on his deal. And right now, he's 35. An injury-prone 35. 35. Okay, 35 years old. He's going to be 36. Some of y'all really advocating for Mike Conley? And wait, Mike Conley, who loved Memphis, a small market, and loves Utah, small market, all of a sudden you think he's going to want to play in Madison Square Garden? Anyway, that's what I mean when I say crazy season, right? No, 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 no. Don't want that. No. Okay? But that's what I'm talking about. So let's just see what we have with our kids. I keep stressing that. Let's just see what we have with our kids. Add a good player in this draft. At 11, we're going to get a good guy. Like I said, there's Sohan, there's Tari Eason out there. There's Agbaji. I like Agbaji. Some of y'all like Malachi from Brandon from Ohio State. I'm not as high on him. I don't think at this stage his game translates. I don't see the pop I need to see on NBA level. I'm not saying he could never do it. Listen to me carefully. Maybe in 3 seasons, 2 seasons, he develops into a solid NBA player. He's a Karis LeVert light with emphasis on the light. Okay, he don't have the height or the strength or the pop of Karis LeVert, but his game is very similar to Karis LeVert, and I could see him developing. If I'm assuming he's going to work really hard. I could see him developing 2 or 3 seasons from now. So in that regard, yeah, but to me, there's better players that will develop more and give us more pop, more bang for our buck at 11 than Malachi. Okay, namely Sohan, namely Agbaji, namely Tari Eason. They will give us more pop earlier for our buck at 11 than Malachi. That's what some people don't understand. Like last year, some of y'all was pint. We must go get Boat Night. Y'all know who you are. We must go get Boat Night. What you feeling now? Have you seen him on Charlotte? Okay. Y'all overrated him. And I told y'all at the time, y'all were overrating him. Okay? But that's what I mean. Be careful what you're looking at. Look at both sides of the basketball. Look at it carefully. And as far as Malachi Branham, like I said, 2 or 3 seasons, he might be able to be a solid NBA rotation player. 2 or 3 seasons. He got to work hard, though. But you're going to get more bang for Sohan. He can come on the floor right now. And defensively, more than hold his own. Okay? And offensively, he's got all the tools to develop. He just needs good coaching, development. And you can get offensively more than you think out of Sohan. And then Tari Eason's a 2-way player right now. And he came off the bench for LSU. But, if he were to come back, he'd be, top 5 in next year's draft. Definitely. Okay? There's that. And then Agbaji. Agbaji, baby, he's worked so hard. I love a guy that works really hard and got the most out of his talent. So he's a really good shooter, perimeter defender already. And he's going to work hard. I like that. And he's mature. So that's another guy. But to me, it's those 3. And then, of course, there's one above all of them that I would get. And ESPN had us getting this guy, which means I know we're not getting him because ESPN generally don't know what they're talking about. But Benedict Mathurin? Benedict Mathurin's going to be the deal. He really is. This guy, I love this kid. Both sides of the ball. I mean, he hasn't shown defensive chops yet. I'll give you that. But it's there. It's like Anthony Edwards. You know the athleticism, the desire, the talent is there. At 19. He's going to show it. And I rank him above all those other 3 guys. But I don't think we'll get him. I think he goes in the top 8. And I don't want to move up to get anybody because we're going to get a really good player at 11. No need to try to move up. Unless if Leon decided to move up, I wouldn't argue with Leon because Leon knows what he's doing in the draft. So I would, him and Perrin know what they're doing. So if they did move up, I would. But I wouldn't. Just stay at 11, get what you're going to get. Or, go trade down if Sohan is going somewhere around 14 and we could trade down and add picks. Leon's good at that. And still get him. I'd do that. Okay. But I like Sohan. Realistically, that's going to be there for us at 11. And like I said, if he's going to drop, we can add picks and still get him. I like that. So somebody might ask, what about Dyson Daniels? I like Dyson Daniels, but to me, he's below those guys. Like I like Dyson Daniels. Don't get me wrong. 6'6", somebody say 6'8". There's always rumors. Last year, if you recall, there was rumors that the kid out of Auburn that went to Atlanta grew and was 6'2" or 6'4" or whatever. There's always rumors like that. Or the kid from Alabama that end up going, the point guard that end up going from Alabama, end up going to New Orleans, that he all of a sudden put on 20 pounds and he wasn't so light. And I said at the time, putting on weight real quick like that is not healthy. And the boy went up and hurt his knee, right? And that's what I'm saying. What was that boy's name? He's good too. I still think he's going to be good. Kyra Lewis. I like Kyra Lewis. But, all of that, them last minute thing, grew all of a sudden at the last minute, put on weight at the last minute, try to impress the scouts. Don't fall for that. That's an okie doke, man. Okay? Don't do that. But Dyson Daniels is a solid 6'6", strong, from Australia, tough, and I think his jump shot could be developed. I like Dyson Daniels, but I like Benedict Mathurin better. I like Jeremy Sohan better. I like Agbaji better. I like Tari Eason better. I'm not saying that Dyson Daniels can't play. He can. But I like these other guys better. And as far as the Knicks needs, I think, they trade in Randle. They need a backup 4, which is why I like Sohan and I like Eason. Okay. Now, Mathurin doesn't fit any of that. He's not a need pick. He's just a tremendous basketball player that I would move players on the Knicks to make room for. That's why I like Mathurin. He's just that dude that, let's just make room for him because he's so good. He's going to be, that's that dude going down the line that, listen, make room for him. I don't care who you got to trade, get him. Okay, that's the type of dude I like at him. But aside from him, the other guys fit. Now, Dyson Daniels and Agbaji are perimeter players, right? They're perimeter players. But what I like about Daniels is that he could guard both guard positions and he could guard a forward position. He really could guard at least three positions on the floor. So I like him. But like I said, I don't want to trade or move Emmanuel Quickly or Deuce McBride or trade, Roku Jokovitis to get him. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do that. But for Mathurin, who you want? The only guy I might not trade, and I'm saying might, is RJ for Mathurin. That's the guy I might not trade. There's nobody else on this squad I wouldn't trade. Well, let me go to. I wouldn't trade RJ and I wouldn't trade Mitchell Robinson. That's it. And y'all know I love Deuce McBride. I would trade anybody else on this roster to get Benedict Mathurin. I would, no doubt. That's how high I am on him. Okay. But I just don't think we're going to be able to get him because I think somebody else is going to see him and they're going to get him I think he's gone before 8. I'd be surprised if he was still there at 11. I'd be shocked if he was still there at 11. I'd be shocked. Okay. So to me, that's a no-brainer. You pick him if you could get him. Okay. But aside from that, the other guys fit. I'm not trading anybody on my team to add Dyson Daniels. I'm not trading anybody on my team to add Agbaji, actually. I'm not doing that. But Tari Eason fits because I want to trade Julius Randle. So does Sohan for the same reason. They fit because I want Julius Randle out of here. So we can get rid of him. We got room for a backup power forward, which is one of these kids. Okay. And we got time to develop him this year. That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So now you know the method to my madness, right? So Mathurin to me is just a great prospect on a level that is worth trading some players to get if you could get him. He's that dude to me. I like him a lot. I like Mathurin a lot. So I would take him above all those dudes, but again, realistically, I don't see him being available to us. If ESPN is right and he fell to us at 11, oh my gosh, that would be ridiculous. But I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, just like I don't think the Knicks are going to move up in the draft. Now, let me just one more thing before we get out of here. I just want to tell you, see, the draft works like this. The likelihood is 76% chance the Knicks stay at 11. There's a 9% chance they go into the top 4. There's a 2% chance they get the number 1 overall pick. And there's less than a 1% chance they fall to 12. Now, what does that mean? That means the Knicks are not going to get 5. They're not going to get 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. They're not going to get any of those. Okay? They're going to either be top 4 or 11. All right? So, and the likelihood is they would be 11. You see what I'm saying? They're not going to get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. That's not going to happen. They're either going to be top 4 or 11. Okay, and there's a slight chance they could be 12, but that's less than a 1% chance that they drop to 12. Okay, so it's a very small chance they drop to 12. So 76% chance they're going to be at 11. Now, obviously, somebody's going to mention, well, it happened to New Orleans. We ain't New Orleans. In this regard, the Knicks don't get that lucky. But if we did, fantastic. But I'm just planning us being at 11. Okay, and that's why I named the players that I named, that realistically will be there for us at 11. All right. So Sohan will be there. I think Tari Eason will be there. Agbaji will be there. Daniels probably be there, although some people marking him in the top 10. Okay, whatever. But that just makes room for us to move on the guys that I like. Okay. So, but like I said, Mathurin's my dude, the top. Then Sohan, Eason, Agbaji, Dyson Daniels, guys like that. But that's that's my method, just to let y'all know the way I'm feeling about this thing. Mathurin, man, we can get him. Shoot, I'm very happy if we can get him. And then nobody's like putting him in the top 4, which to me, he's top 4 in this draft. But see, Michael Jordan didn't go number 1 overall. Remember that. Neither did Jason Tatum. See what I'm saying? Not always the best player in the draft goes number 1 overall. A lot of times they do, but not always. Not always. Okay. So anyway, y'all enjoy your Wednesday. Have a good hump day. Be safe out there. We're going to see what happens. Shalom.